rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Rachel, roll call.
Here.
Chapman?
Here.
Clark?
Here.
Patton?
Here.
Tyler?
Here.
Zelenak?
Here.
Here. Agenda, we're going to add action item C. Pursue CDB grant for water service upgrades. Other than that,
Rachel, you gotta change it to
Was
me.
it-
Is it action?
Was that under action, Larry?
yes,
I'd like to, and action items D also, reimbursement.
Reimbursement,
Travel expense. I'll explain more about that.
anybody else? Need a motion to approve the amended agenda?
I'll make that.
Who?
I don't know.
Who wants to start?
I'll support it.
Been moved and supported to accept the agenda as amended. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Motion to approve the minutes of the April 13th
We
meeting.
just gotta add Tyler as absent.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the correction.
I'll support.
Been moved, supported to accept the minutes of our April 13th meeting with the correction. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Scott, please report. Nope, public comment, sorry. Anybody with public comment?
Hi, is that what
That's
we're
where
going
we
to
are.
talk about a few issues? Fine, I'll represent that motion there to have some public comment. My name is Arnold Hurst, I live within the village. Some of you know me, some of you may not. Mr. Eckert, President Eckert, I want to appreciate you returning my phone call. We had a brief discussion about one of the issues I was concerned with that I'll bring to the board at this time. I brought two issues up with you, Mr. Eckhart. My issue is why we have closed our leaf drop-off site in the spring when we have all of our village residents preparing. You all own a yard, maybe you live in a condo. Most of you don't. We're in northern Michigan. We know this stuff. Mr. Eckhart, your answer was confused. It sounded like you were a bit confused. Would you care to reiterate or an explanation as to why the dump is closed?
Somebody turned us in.
Turn us in for what?
Having the site and without a permit to have, Sam, would you help me?
What it is we got turned in 2 years ago for having a brush pile. Everybody remembers that. And when we got turned in, we were told we could have up to 200 yards of compost. And when you start hauling leaves in, it's considered compost. Well, as we sit right now, we probably got 500. And somebody called and said there's an awful big pile of leaves down in that. And guess what? His advice to me was, lock the gate.
All right, that's enough explanation. That's all I need. Now I have an understanding of what the issue is. Now I'd like to address that really quick.
Okay.
Central Lake apparently deems to want to be the only municipality in northern Michigan that doesn't offer this service.
Really?
Yeah, it seems so, because I use all the other sites.
Okay.
And I can tell you that there's more leaves and compost there than there is ours. I can also tell you that leaves take time to produce the compost. So the decision to close the gate was made by our superintendent, I'm assuming?
at the direction of the DEQ.
at the direction of the Q. Now, was he given, is there a stepping point where he is to report to a council member, perhaps maybe the president, to authorize that? And somebody with common sense and level-headed would put the betterment of the community in front of closing the gate in the spring?
The community's not paying, well, they are paying through our
Yeah.
taxes that we spend, but if we get fined for having that open, that's an expense that as elected council and officials that we don't wanna spend.
Do you have that DEQ memo? I never saw it posted anywhere.
Was there a memo, Sam?
Yeah, actually, we got a warning. I got it somewhere around shop. You still got it, Joe?
No, I don't have it.
And out of the, you know,
Um,
out of the,
Real quick here, the warning one, was that from 2 years ago when that came in? Okay, that I do have somewhere.
I have it somewhere too.
So 2014,
2014.
2014 when we closed.
Township still has the drop off
When
at
we
the
closed
well,
waste receiving.
my taxes are paid through the village. My township services I can certainly deal with at a township meeting. Tuesday and Saturday, I mean, I know we started issuing blight and we put a lot of investment in the zoning preparation. I know we've done this. Now, we're going to, you know, start issuing citations for blight. My concern is somebody on a beautiful day like today wants to do a little bit of yard cleanup. Okay, it's a beautiful day, they got a push mower, they bag up their leaves, they're feeling good. Maybe they got poor health, today they're feeling good. They got the opportunity to clean up their yard. We should want that as a community. Okay, we've all used the dump. My other issue is, the minute that the gate was closed, if any of us in good conscience posted anywhere, how many people like myself had to load all their crap up after I push mowed my yard? I got a 60-inch mower, but I choose to push mow my yard with a bagger. And take and load it on my trailer and drive down there only to see it locked. Did we post that anywhere? Are we thoughtful to the tax-paying citizens that are providing all of this services? I do believe it's their land. And I do believe all the services, the little stipends you guys get, which isn't much, you guys are here to serve. It's not for the money, I understand that. But I believe that we, the taxpayers, are the ones that are making all this happen. Appreciate your service, I really do. This is common sense stuff. Leaves and compost. It takes time to produce compost. Now, let me address the compost issue. That was 2 years ago. Have we done anything with the compost? Have we removed it? Have we posted it in the newspaper that Central Lake has available compost? There's a lot of excavators out there that could use that stuff.
We
Have we even thought about,
We have in council meetings that has been stated that it's one, you contact Sam and just about any resident in the village can go down there and get
And
it.
the problem is, everybody throws tree limbs in, they throw tarps in, they throw shingles in, plastic 5-gallon pails in, that don't compost. When the DEQ looks at it, they go, what the heck is that doing in it?
Maybe to help this along, I agree we should have that open. We've all said it before, it's great, but right now, under the conditions, it can't be until we find out for sure what the DEQ is going to
I
tell
don't
us.
believe
So,
I don't believe
let us look
that
into
they
that a
have
little further.
any recommendation for you to close the gate.
Well, let
And
us
the
look
gate should
into that
not
to
be
make sure.
closed in the spring, especially. I've been to this board before for something similar.
Arnie, you're entitled to your opinion, and we appreciate the fact that you're concerned about it. We're not gonna solve the problem tonight.
Well, I hope you solve it pretty quick, because you've already disenfranchised every tax-paying citizen this spring.
Well,
Now,
it's
you want
funny-
to address blight,
It's
you want
funny,
to
the
address
only, the only two complaints I've heard are those that are using it commercially. I haven't heard from one resident who wanted to get into that site.
I'd be
Actually, I
happy.
have heard from a couple too.
Yeah,
I
I'd be
happy.
happy. If you
But
need
it-
signatures, I will dedicate my time to get every signature from every house in this community.
Can I
That
speak
is
a
a
minute?
fact.
Yes.
We did roughly
It was
3
posted on
weeks ago,
Facebook
Rachel?
also.
Pardon?
It was posted.
Roughly 3 weeks ago, we put a post on our Facebook page that says, bring your leaves down to the DPW garage and we will unload them at the garage. There's a gentleman sitting right here that has already done that. He called me and said, Sam, can I drop just my maple leaves off in the pile? I said, go put them over there. And he's not the only one to use it. So
Don't
before
we-
you go off and say we didn't give somebody a place to put stuff,
I'm not on
We
Facebook. Don't we have areas around town that we post paper, that was what we started out with before computers and electronics?
you had the opportunity.
Isn't it, don't we post at the village market or in other areas that says, listen, the dump will be closed? Sam Mullen, superintendent, have decided to close it. Now, with one more thing that I'd like to bring to your attention is, it sounds to me like we've all been aware of the problem. You got compost. You need to remove it. We don't have that many homes and that many people in Central Lake causing a problem. It sounds to me like somebody's not doing their job. Now, what I will say is that I know it would be small minimal fee, and I know we have the money to have about 3 truckloads taken out and hauled out. Now, if you need a list of excavators, I'd be happy to provide you with some locally in the area. And give you the bid cost to have it removed. Problem solved. This isn't brain science. This is just taking care of our people. We're all working together, or we should be.
Yeah, I appreciate your public comment, and we will proceed with our agenda. Police report, Scott?
Thank you. Hopefully everybody got a chance to look at the police report. Apologize for my absence last month, but I got to finish up on a class, and you guys did get a chance to see Terry for a few minutes there. Last month's report, pretty standard, a little bit busier as we're getting closer to the summer. Couple things that we're kind of picking up on, actually kind of a good thing. Zoning permits, I actually have been issuing quite a bit of those lately, and a lot of question and answer, so it's always a good sign to see people actually out building and improving things. Some extra salvage inspections, some little bit extra time spent on patrol, and then helping the county with their big complaint they had where they found all that found property, so. Any questions?
Doing a great job.
UDAA, what's that stand for?
Unlawful driving away with an automobile,
Okay.
stolen car. So, we have one of those, once in a while.
All right, thank you.
That one in particular actually turned into a civil complaint, so. Where they actually kind of knew who took it, there was a buddy, and then.
Anybody have anything else? Thank you, Sam.
Thanks.
You all should have a copy of DPW operations. There was one there, number 11. The concrete pad for the 2A well is poured. The generator got delivered today, it's sitting there. Aaron will be in the first of the week, and we'll start getting that hooked up.
Sam, will that have a building over it, or is the generator?
Nope, it's all encased in steel, so we don't have to worry about it. Locked doors on it. Number 7, the well, number 4 has been plugged, that was on the DEQ report. The last time, and I'm looking for the one that says working, number 17, working on concrete pad at Camping Park. That has been poured, black dirted, seeded, and mulched back in. We originally talked about subcontracting it out, but after talking to the contractors, it was just, by the time we put all the fill in, get all the black dirt scratched out, I said the heck with it, we might as well pour it. So we went ahead and did it in-house. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question on number 22, which is started sweeping streets. I've noticed over the past several years, especially on my street, because I live behind the library that downflows towards the river. So there's a lot of debris that sits down there, but I've noticed all through town that a lot of the salt and sand and dirt that is left over from the winter, being today May 10th, is still out there, other than the main streets. And I've noticed this for several years, especially my street. I was just wondering if we have a schedule. My thoughts are with a minimum of having the sweeper out 3 times a year to do all streets. But especially in the spring, I have in the 3 houses, a buddy of mine, I have about 11 children. You can drive by my house at the corner of Lake and North any day, and there's 4 kids playing in my yard because it's a large yard. There's a lot of salt and sand debris down there, and they all ride their scooters and bikes. I've watched them many times fall on their butt. I've rescued children coming through because they cut across to the park from my street that runs along the river. The streets are terrible, and then May 10th, it's unacceptable. We have a sweeper, once again, the taxpayers paid for it, if I had to guess, probably about a $55,000 machine. And I am aware that it runs better when it's wet out. So even if we have a rainy day, it should be out, and at this time of year, all these streets should have been done. So that's, my question, comment.
Sam, how much time is going to elapse before the cement in front of the grocery store, you know, that red stuff? How long do you think it'll be before you can get started on that?
I believe I can answer it. With the new lead and copper rules that just come in, the water system, I mean, here it is, May 11th, and we're just now flushing fire hydrants. My sweeper's broke down, it's been broke down for a month just about, we still haven't even got that to fix it yet.
That explains
That's how
this
far
year.
behind I am.
Well, I was
So-
just concerned because that is kind of dangerous right there.
So for me to tell you we'd go up there and bust it out, I can't answer that right now.
This is a continuous pattern, this isn't just this year, it's the same commitment to, nothing other than the main street. So I guess I have to open a business in town to have a clean street.
Thank you, Arnie.
Sam, I have a
We'll
question on
continue on.
number 21, repaired water leaks at the chamber building.
Yes,
What,
we had busted water pipes inside the building
what,
because the last time it didn't get drained properly. They got called for the water to get turned off and the building never got drained. So what we did, that's why the water was off last year.
anything bad happened inside?
No, it was just copper pipes that were broke. We went in, soldered them, put fittings in them. We got it all up and going so the water can be on.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else for Sam? Thank you.
Thank you.
Lyle, campground?
Well, the power wash bathrooms inside, and I'll also power wash the sidewalk over on the bathroom. Picked up a lot of brush this spring down there, there's a lot of stuff down. Picked up that, cleaned the fire pits, mowed the park 4 times so far. Replaced a couple of fire pits, replaced the lock on the men's bathroom, that failed us, started during the winter, finished up this spring. Trimmed the brush on the hill where it was overhanging along there. And we took the trees out here a couple of years ago. And basically the status quo out there. We got 28 sites rented for the holiday. So other than that, we've been busy and been helping Sam down there on that. Doing whatever we can.
Anybody have anything for Lyle?
I'd like to say the park is looking good. I've been down through a couple of times and it looks real good. and-
Welcome back.
Thank you,
Yes.
thank you.
Corey, DDA?
The DDA hired Pam Luce to be our market manager, right? She's assisting with helping us develop the market. She's volunteering time as far as that goes, and she's going to manage the day-to-day activities of the market. We're working right now on vendor recruitment. She's, as of 2 days ago, she had 75 different vendors that she spoke with or was going to speak with. And then she's reaching out to some of the other places, other markets, and going to distribute our information with them.
Any confirmations of vendors booked?
There's been a couple, I think. I don't have the latest stuff in front of me, but I think there's been at least 2 or 3. I would expect this year, it's gonna take several years to develop the market. So I'd expect this year we'll have a lighter year than maybe the next 2. A lot of people, we've never had them, so nobody knows what to expect. One of the efforts we wanted to do is create a flyer, maybe we hand it out to everybody at the campground as they're coming in, but we would need those council approval to do that, so I don't want to just go ahead and say that we're gonna. But I was curious if we could maybe provide Lyle with a stack of pamphlets as people are coming in, so they know that there is one in town where we can locate it. So that's an idea we had, and it's something I'd like to bring to you guys. And then our first day is June 18th. It'll be every Saturday in the mornings, 8 to noon. And then the other thing we did recently is we're proposing to replace the lamppost banners, and I think that's something on the agenda for later on too. The last time they were replaced was in 2004 by the Chamber of Commerce. They were, I have some of the original invoices, they were close to $5,800 back when they were replaced. It was for a set of 2. But they're also 12 years old. We want to propose replacing lamppost banners with 4 sets of custom designed, heavy vinyl, printed banners. So they, say welcome to Central Lake or Central Lake home of the Trojans.
Central Air, would we get our name on it?
Well, something similar to that. That's umbrella material, and there's no, when we put a sponsor on it, that does it, there's no value to the sponsor other than their name's up on the wall. So we wanted to take that a step further, and one of the things we'll propose is putting the name up there along with the QR code. So if somebody has the ability to take their phone and scan that QR code to a website, or go to a
A
predetermined
QR
coupon
code on the banner up there?
on the sponsor banner, which would hang, there would be a separate banner that would hang below the banner like in Bel Air.
Like when they
Right,
hang
so
the
you gotta
rubber
hold
ducky
your phone up
festivals.
there to get to it, or?
No, you can do it from here to there. You don't have to be right on top of it. You can skate, you can do it like 6 feet away. It all depends, we'll have to play with that a little bit. But that's one of the things, and it's not up as high as you think. The banner's here in town.
Have you set any hours for it? Have you set up any hours as to how long it's gonna run during the day?
What's that, farmer's market?
Yeah.
Yeah, 8 to noon.
8 to
8 to noon, yeah, yeah. And so we want to work on sponsorships for that. That's essentially, I want to come here and make sure that's okay, and then we can proceed with that project. And I think that's on an agenda item as well. And then the final thing we did at our last meeting is Village Market came in and had a presentation about their tentative plans for their gas station and convenience store. And that was informative, but things sound like they're changing. They took some questions and concerns from us, such as parking. And we're worried about the traffic backup from boats turning in, boats and trailers. So, and that they're looking at addressing those and maybe coming back in the next couple months with a formal presentation. And that'll be passed on to the village council at that point.
Corey, here in the first paragraph, it says you hired this Pamela Luce. But when you say you hired her, how did we go about hiring her?
Contract.
With, I guess, where did the salaries come from that?
Farmers market budget.
Okay,
You were supposed
okay. I just asking her.
Good question.
But she's volunteering in what regard? So we're paying her to be there from 8 to 12, but she's volunteering for,
She's gonna manage, the payments for managing the day-to-day activities in the market.
like, being there every Saturday from 8 to 12.
Yeah, well, she's gonna be there before 8 and after 12.
Right.
But she'll be there to manage the day-to-day, whatever it takes. It's not a set,
Right.
you
So
know, you're gonna
beyond
set
that
up.
time, it's her time.
Yeah, she's volunteering her time for program development. She's done similar things with different projects, and she's very knowledgeable. We're very fortunate, very excited to have her.
I know Pam, she'll get this.
Anybody else have anything for it? Correspondence, I think there's only one I received. Everybody got a copy of this flyer that Rachel put in our packet. MDOT has annual rural and tribal elected officials meeting Wednesday, May 25th at 2 to 4 p.m. at the MDOT Gaylor Transportation Service Center. This is a meeting where they go over this year's projects as well as their 5-year plan. If anybody's interested, there's information here about it. They're not planning anything in our area, I don't believe, but if it interests you, you can follow through. Committee reports, Rob?
Let's see, streets, like we said from February, Region Marley's gonna come in and start paving, but now, if we look at action item C, with that water upgrade grant, we're gonna have to see what that does and entails before we start paving a road, because I don't wanna pave a road and then come back through and have them tear it up and put a new water line in. So, obviously, one has to happen before the other, so if this water thing goes through, we're gonna have to adjust our bid with Reeve Riley accordingly, and I'd make the adjustments at that time. Sidewalks, nothing, and lights, nothing.
Thank you. Brian, sewer and water?
I don't have anything, thanks.
Chapman, law enforcement?
I think Chief covered everything pretty well. No big problems there.
Melissa?
I just have, listening to Arnie speak a little bit, I have brought this up previously about maybe doing an email newsletter, and I think maybe you weren't here, Rob, last time at the last meeting, so maybe before we leave tonight, we can schedule a meeting with the communications committee and talk about these two things, being an email newsletter that can go out to residents and let them know if there's leave pickup or a job for hire or any of those things. And then the emergency text program, so if the power goes out or some horrific thing happens, we are able to notify village residents of what's going on. So,
It's gonna have to be a voluntary basis, I would think, wouldn't it?
yes, yes. And it would be very simple to collect email addresses. They could respond to Rachel, or we could develop a program where they just type in their email address and their phone number. And I don't know if anybody belongs to the village market. They have a text program. Pleasant Valley Auto has a text program where you'll just get a notice that says, on sale peanuts today or something like that. But the village could do the same thing that says, we're flushing the water lines today. We are closed for an extra hour or something.
Well, it's only
like
gonna
that,
help
so.
you in every effort going down the road, such as the start of this farmer's market. If, you know,
Right,
if you
right,
have that
we could
ability
use it
right
for
now,
marketing
it's
purposes,
gonna
there's,
bring
you know,
people
collecting
out.
and making a database is
and
something that we need to
communication
do, so.
is always,
Right.
I do have the capability of setting up an email group and then selecting that group and
Yep.
then sending an email to everybody in that group.
Yep, so it's just a
Just
matter
one
of
click and it's
us three kind of hashing it out, what we want to do, when we want to do it, and
Good idea.
executing it,
We'll get
so
together after this and set up.
make a time, yes,
Yep.
okay, thank you.
Finance personnel, Joe?
Not a lot, the audit's being done, that's why we're in this room. The auditors have everything else spread out up there, so that's pretty much the only thing that I have right now.
Leela, Parks?
Most of it's gonna be taken under action items, but also it's just a little bit of waiting and see how things are gonna develop now, right? We'll let Jennifer handle that. Thank you.
My report. Since the last meeting, I sat at another meeting that included the Township Armor Express, the head of MISTA, and the CEO of MISTA, and a couple of other regional representatives. I don't remember who they represent now, but, and the discussion was focused on housing and the availability of affordable housing, or the lack thereof. It is a desire for Second Chance Armor Express to expand, but when they do hire anybody, especially from out of the area, they have no place to live. So we're trying to develop a program. I think Rising Tide is going to address that issue as well. So it was nice just to see that there's other people wanting to do similar things. So I also met with the Pure Michigan videographer, photographer, part of Rising Tide. There's going to be a 60-second, we were told 90, but it's been reduced to 60-second promo. And he will be here July 3rd and 4th, which I think is outstanding.
Yes, that's
So,
perfect.
Sandy, the flower lady Bodenbender, is going to start next Monday. She's already done some preliminary things, but she said she plans on starting next Monday. And then we're on the agenda to pursue the infrastructure grant, which we'll talk more about that. So that's my report. Anybody have any questions for me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Affordable housing, you mentioned that in the Rising Tide. That's a private matter. I mean, we don't have any land available within the village to sell to a developer or a builder. I mean, what are they trying to, what's their goal when you say affordable housing?
Someplace when they look for an employee that's going to make $10 to $15 an hour, someplace for them to live. Armor Express is talking about doing it on their property.
Okay, so everyone understands that we don't have available land and we're not in the business of
Right.
setting up housing.
Right. But we can
Okay.
support efforts to that effect. From my
Well,
perspective, we
it could
can
be too,
anyway.
Rob, like the Rising Tide program is talking about, like maybe Bachman's remodeling her upstairs, putting in apartments.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be just like 1 or 2 apartments in the village, revamping a building or something.
Right.
It's not like, building a development or anything, but
Okay.
things of that nature as well.
What was the name of that factory that was basically tore down in the property?
Mistake, that part next to me is owned by Dover Corporation.
That's a perfect piece of property, I know it's on the water, but that's a perfect piece of property right in their backyard, second chance.
No, $5.99.
Oh, $5.99 now.
The both?
It's not going down.
What's
that?
Somebody's only $10 an hour.
That's one dollar.
No, I'm just saying, second chance, or if they put up some type of development, you could put pretty large
Okay,
development.
we'll move on. Approve of the bills. We have prepaids of $31,665.22, payroll of $5,761.14, payables $23,279.50, total of $60,705.86. Need a motion to accept the treasurer?
I make a motion we pay the bills.
Second.
Then moved and supported. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Bartley?
Yes.
Chapman?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Patton?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yep.
Delmeyer?
Yes.
Heck.
Yes. New business, we have had a brush pickup week, both in the spring last year and fall last year, I believe,
Last couple of years we have.
the last couple of years. Do we want to do another one? Sam's the one that suggested it, so.
Good idea, Sam. You think you guys will have time and you got a week picked out already?
Let's just pick a week and we'll do it, that's all.
Okay.
How about first week of June?
There you go. Sounds great to
That's
me.
3 weeks, time to get it out.
All right,
Like June 1st is a Wednesday,
Are
so
we
we're
gonna
talking
put a
about the
limit?
6th?
The
Starting like the first full week of June?
First full week of June.
Okay, so that's the June 6th.
Pick it, we'll do it.
Same thing as before, 4-foot length or whatever,
She
6
can
inch
put the exact
diameter.
same thing we've always put on it.
June 6th through 10th.
People seem to like it.
Okay.
very good. Action items. Everybody received the letter that Jennifer wrote to us after 5 o'clock tonight. And based on her recommendation, I would suggest that we hold off on making a decision at this point in time. And I'll let her talk about our state of affairs with respect to that.
Good evening. I had opportunity to meet a lot of you, but appreciate taking a moment for our time. I also brought Tristan Graham too, who's some of you I've met with also. He was quite intimately involved in the design. So if anybody has any specific technical questions, I'll probably defer to him. But yeah, going through the process a couple of years ago, we were very much under the gun to pursue this grant. It was something that had become available, and it was in a matter of a couple of weeks, throwing a couple darts at it, hoping we'd get it, and lo and behold, we did. And then as we continued through that exercise and finally received an agreement and approval from the DNR, this is fast forward to December of this last year, we went through quite a few obstacles as far as ownership restrictions, both on the north end and then with respect to the bathroom itself. And we finally did get resolved through a lot of those. And subsequently, worked with the Park and Rec Committee and finalized the bathroom layout and location, the paths, the boardwalk, the site, the piers, the docks of that nature. And this is what you have as we bid the project out. Original engineer's estimate for the project was $220,000. And that was generated back in March 2013, so a couple of years ago. And subsequently, we had the bid opening just this Monday, so I do apologize if the letter's coming to you at this point now. Because basically, trying to get in touch with the contractor, the low bid contractor, checking references is what we've been busy doing. But initially, right after we had the bid opening, met with a few of you to just kind of hash out some of the details is what do we actually have available for budget? And what are the things that we're willing to potentially cut? Knowing that we have a grant available of $220,000. And also knowing during the design process, there's quite a few things that were added. They entailed creating one common bathroom appearance, so that would require taking the whole roof off. That also impacted some of the asphalt. We also elected to replace all the lighting in the existing bathroom, the furnace, hot water heater. In the long run, essentially creating one unit, but a lot of level of increased efficiency as far as, replacing a furnace, hot water heater that are quite outdated. And so those were some additional things that from the committee that we had elected to do. So that does obviously affect some of the pricing that we're seeing. And then the other unfortunate thing is this is getting to be a very common position I'm in. I've had several projects out for bid, and just in the last year, cost estimates that we generated from a year ago aren't even realistic anymore. And I know a lot of us have houses, we go to Home Depot, we go different places, and it's, the prices just to buy materials alone, it continues to go up. I know one of the things that we were quite alarmed to see, and Sam will attest to that also, is the cost for the blocking, just to build the bathroom itself. We budgeted $150 a square foot, and the two low bidders were averaged about $300 to $350 a square foot just per block for the building. I know contractors, they'll throw different pricing in different spots and different bid items for whatever reason, but that was definitely an unexpected, and that's a lot of the reason why it's with respect to that bathroom itself that we're seeing such a high cost. So with that being said, at this point I have itemized where some of the extras came from. I also itemized in that letter some of the things that we potentially could reduce to meet a budget that we're comfortable with. Rob had communicated to me that as far as funds, there is a comfortability of $325,000 the village would be receptive to spending. Of that, $220,000 is inclusive of the grant. So going through and just doing some value engineering, we can hit that number if presuming we go with the low bidder. The concern I have with the letter at this point is I would love more than anything to recommend the low bidder, but unfortunately I can't consciously do that at this point. We have contacted 10 of their references. One of them we were only able to physically talk to, and it was with the DNR, a similar grant. They weren't overly excited about the contractor, but they weren't dissatisfied either. They're pretty much neutral. Two of the other projects they listed as references had no recollection of the contractor nor the project. And the other 6 or 7 were still waiting on response. They're either on vacation or MIA. So at this point, the bids are valid for 90 days. And I've also put a call into the contractor. He has not returned my call either. But I would, we need to definitely have that frank discussion with him, letting him know our budget concerns. And we, first and foremost, need to have some good references before we want to proceed with this. They did meet all the insurance requirements and bond requirements, which is always a good thing in the initial, because they're required to, present those things to us. But at this point, I have no personal experience, nor anyone in my company does. And it's my understanding, and please, if anybody on the council has experience working with this low bidder, let me
If his
know.
references are a bust, what do? We certainly don't go to the next higher bidder? Can we put bids out again, or?
Yep, that's definitely an option. We go back to the DNR, we explain our situation.
Make the cuts, maybe that could encourage some more bidding or
Right.
something?
Nope, there's options. I mean, you can reduce items. One of the first things I always do is I go back to the funding agency. Letting them realize the time constraints we had, the challenges we had just getting to this point, and knowing that we're, working on a project that's based on estimates from a couple years old that aren't valid, the ability for them to provide us more funding, that's one of the first places we check.
Is there the longer this go on, is there any risk of losing that original grant if this goes on for another 4 years or something?
There always is, but they've already provided us with a time extension to June of, is it 2017, I want to say? Or maybe it's December. So I mean, we have a nice time period at this point. We just renewed another one.
To either get the job done or just get a good bid?
To get the job done,
So now we got another year.
yes. And I know,
Either December or summer of 17?
I can't recall, I apologize, I can't recall off the top of my head what the time period is, but I know we have time, and I know she indicated to me they can continue to provide extensions as long as you have a valid reason, which receiving high bid prices is it's a valid reason.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer.
Jennifer, I've got a question. You said there was two cities that didn't recognize it, Scottsdale and Cadillac.
Yeah,
Who, like the city of Scottsdale and the city of Cadillac, they stated they did work for them, but you could not find a bridge or a beach or something?
well,
does that
Scottville
work?
is actually my hometown, and I know the gal, and so I contacted her, and she didn't have any recollection of the contractor, and she'd been there for 18 years.
So the contractor stated he did work in Scottsdale. Scottville, excuse me.
Clown man.
And she has no idea what's going on.
So what I can speculate is perhaps what they did is they listed some projects that they were a subcontractor for. And a lot of times,
Subcontractors are listed.
exactly.
All right.
So
Could
that's
that
what
possibly have happened as well in Cadillac?
it's possible, yes.
And then a follow-up question to that is you said the DNR did have one job from them and you stated that they weren't impressed nor,
It
what was that
neutral.
project?
Neutral. They were neutral. They're,
What city was that project in?
I don't remember, because Vicki in our office, she was the one that had contacted me.
If you find out, we could take
Yeah,
a look at that, I mean.
We create sheets every time we do reference checks and put them in the file, so I'll just scan the sheet of the list of questions and their respective answers and email it to you.
So we're still not out of the, I mean, we're still, this could still be
Seven
go
more
with this
that
bidder
could come
yet.
in.
Right.
So we're still,
Was this guy, the TJM Services, was here at the bid opening?
Yes.
I think he was.
all three of
Yeah.
us.
All three were here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we had all three of them.
So he's got some interest then,
Yeah.
obviously.
Well, in the night, for a project like this, they have to meet, we have very strict insurance requirements. And, right off the top, they have to meet $1 million requirement and have $1 million rider for a project like this because they're working for a municipality. And, and for some small mom and pops, it's difficult to achieve, or they may, not have the credit rating to do that. So he met that criteria. He also was able to provide a legitimate 5% bid bond, so.
Maybe it's just a reference.
But that doesn't mean anything, it's hard to tell, but we don't,
It's only been 2 days.
right.
that's exactly what I was thinking, let's not,
And
I mean,
we have 9 days.
48 hours.
I know, but the way
let's-
this has been going.
I know.
just
Oh,
I-
you thought it was gonna go easy?
I hear it
Right.
loud yet. No, if we state the same thing in the office, oh, the project's finally out for bid,
All right.
So,
When this is done, we're gonna have like a giant ribbon cutting.
There you go.
something.
A nice big
What
party.
is our action on this then now? Are we looking to take action
I can't
of
think of
cutting
it.
these?
I would
Things
not
are-
recommend anything. The intent of my letter was just to provide you an update and let you know that we can work with the funding mechanisms that are available, and there are some very viable.
Oh, that's why you gotta have a cat.
Paper towels are at 9 days.
Hang on, Bill.
So on the agenda there, where it says approve, what do we just scratch that off, or
I would
let's
just suggest that we table it.
table it?
till
Okay, I'll
If
make
we
a
have to,
motion that
if
we
we have to
table
do a
that.
special meeting or something, we can.
Make
Yeah,
a
we're gonna
motion
have
that
to
we
wait.
table it.
We're
Yeah,
gonna
because
have to wait till
I've done
June?
with,
Well, they were stipulating not to start the bathhouse until after Labor Day.
Trying.
really,
And I will
So-
support that.
and then we have already talked about doing, yeah, like, that's the end of the section, yeah.
So the rest of that,
Well, I'd like to look at finances a little more too and see can we do something to hit this 376, 910 and the low bid to do the whole project at
Well,
one
the other
time?
thing I wanted, and I noted it in the letter, is part of the concern, we always like to have a contingency. And
Right,
at this point, there's, without speaking to the contractor, because I can't speak on his behalf, but a lot of times you can have a very good working relationship, let them know the funding concerns you have, and they have suggestions also.
right.
And there's some things the DPW can do.
Stanley,
I
love it
looking
when
at
you say
me.
that.
But there's some flexibility, but without speaking with him, I can't attest to anything with certainty, but the concern, we can hit that 325, but that leaves, skin over your teeth, no contingencies, because as we all know, there's things you find out in the field.
Now, the 376, I'm sure they build in contingencies too, when he does his estimate, he's figuring on
They should,
little things too.
right.
So, if we could get with our auditors and our accounts and find, is there a way we can pull that together? We're probably in pretty good shape.
It makes it a lot less stressful project, yes.
Maybe by the next meeting, you can let us know where the money's coming from.
Out of the 101 then, the campground. I already
That's
looked
it?
at that, most of it, yeah. There might be something else we have to play with, but I've got to make some calls to find out.
But if they agree,
So
if they agree to that, wouldn't that, we agree to do some of the work ourselves, doesn't that knock
That
that
would
$376
knock
some- Yeah, that's
down
what
quite a
she
bit?
said.
And those were, I did list a couple of those in the
Right.
letter as an example.
That would be a good,
Absolutely.
absolutely, right.
So I made a motion to table it, Lee was supported.
Been moved and supported to table item A in the action items, approved park grant bids.
That'll be on.
Any further discussion? We'll probably go back to action items.
Okay, oh, yeah.
I'm working on half a desk.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed, motion is carried.
Table till June, is it?
Just tabled.
Table.
Table.
We'll deal with it as we collect information. If we need a special meeting, we can do that.
Very good.
Approve the amendment for the burning ordinance. This is the discussion we had the last meeting. I asked Brian Graham to do that, which he has done, and everybody has a copy of ordinance number 1 of 2016-17.
I know at the last meeting, there was a resident who voiced concern with the burning ordinance. I thought we were gonna look at it and discuss what we wanted to make for changes. But then this was in the packet, which, it reads kind of good, but I think we should still have some control, and no offense against Bill, but he'll always be the fire chief. Another fire chief, we may not like his decisions to burn a house or not. So should we still have maybe the language that council has to approve also?
Well, but it's not our, if a homeowner wants to have their house burned down, it's not up to us to say to the house burner, no, you can't burn your house down.
We do
Right.
now. Right now, we said it's not allowed in there until we pass this. And
So
we've
that's
also
why
got
we're
the
pa-
whole,
that's
we
why we
also
wanna
have the
pass
whole
that,
health
right,
issue
so
with the
the
rest of the
fire
village.
department
And don't get me wrong, I
Right,
think
right,
it's a
no,
great thing, and
right.
I'm not against it, I'm just wondering if there should be more language to it, that it has to go through more, or is that even necessary, Bill?
There's a ton of stuff we have to do before we can do one, so.
Okay.
Yeah, but at one time, they put these under DNR, and then DNR shared it with DEQ. DEQ says we don't have any knowledge of structural fire, we don't belong in it. DNR, after 2 years of it, said we know nothing about structural firefighting, it belongs in the local fire departments.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
if we
so they
say
kicked
all
it back to the
regulated and
state
controlled
system.
burns.
I guess where my question would be is, let's say we burn a house and 3 houses down, the people's had their windows open or something, and they come to the village and they say, hey, you guys let them burn that house, and now my house is full of smoke. Are we liable? Is the village then liable to clean their house or to repaint or?
That's why you're,
Not any more than you are with if somebody burns leaves and the smoke gets in their house, or burns
Because you're
their
supposed to-
trash, or.
you're supposed to notify all the neighbors what day,
We-
time, yeah.
We do,
The
we
surrounding area.
Right.
check with the neighbors in the air around the
Surrounding
house,
areas.
that's just one of the things we do.
Would this, if we just leave it like we've written it down, Bill, would it be acceptable with fire department, that they could go ahead and handle it?
What if we just simply said all regulated and controlled burns, then that regulated gives the
But you've
indication that
already
you
got
are
all
already.
controlled.
I know, but what controlled can be kind of vague, you know, what does controlled mean, that they've got a barrier around it and they're squirting water at it? I mean, if it says regulated, then we can know that Bill is following whatever state or DEQ. I hear what Joe's saying about just adding some language to it to.
Normally what it would be is it's not a accidental fire that we're going to.
So
need
does the
permission
state have a definition
or,
of controlled burns?
A controlled burn is one that we plan and control, so that if necessary, we can extinguish it.
Keep in mind, this was the attorney's language. So I assume that he analyzed.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not arguing it, I think we'll pass it, no problem, but I just wonder if the language itself, that all controlled burns conducted by the Central Lake Fire Department are allowed within the village of Central Lake. I'm not so sure we wanna say all controlled burns are. Majority of them, yes, but not all. I don't know, I'm just, I have a slight concern with the language, but I'm not
How would
against
you
the
The
change
state,
ordinance.
the state gives them the authority to do that,
We're not going to,
and we can't supersede what they say. I don't believe we can anyway.
we're not going to.
We can strictly,
Well,
we can't
when the-
supersede to.
If a village person objected, remember when Darlene, when they wanted to burn the Blight House down, and there was a lady right down the street who objected to burning it down because she was on the oxygen tank and it would have been detrimental to her health.
then
Now, in
they'll
that
do
case, what do we do if somebody comes to the council meeting and says, hey, I don't want this house control burned or whatever?
They don't have to
Then
come
it
to
doesn't
council.
happen,
They
right?
don't have to.
So
Burn it
this,
to a bill.
as written,
We just won't
should
do it.
be
Just don't do it.
completely legit and valid. I'm gonna make a motion that we do this.
Yeah.
And I'll support it. Remember when Batterby didn't want that house burned next to her?
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
All right, so Rachel, thanks.
Been moved and supported to accept the ordinance as written. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Pursue CDB grant for water service upgrades. Jennifer emailed us Friday or Monday, I don't remember, just recently,
I think it's Monday.
and said that MEDC has opened up this grant for communities designated as low income, which we are in Ancelona, the only two in Antrim County. She felt that we would have a pretty good chance to receive this grant if we wanted. It is a 10% match. It has to be minimally a $500,000 project, and it pretty much has to be a part of a capital improvement program, which our water study reflects. And I guess from that point, Jennifer, I'll let you talk.
Thank you. No, this actually just came across to our office on Friday, and there are a few communities, MEDC comes out with a list that meets the low demand, as Larry had indicated, and probably a matter of, I want to say there's probably 4 communities across in the state of Michigan that fall on this list, which means they're eligible to apply for this application if they meet certain criteria. What the intent is to improve deteriorated or undersized infrastructure, whether it's a wastewater plant, sewer, water facilities, supply facilities, or water mains. The intentions are not to do a huge expansion for any future growth, but to accommodate existing needs. And it has to be a benefit to the entire community. And obviously being familiar with your water system and having done your hydraulic analyses and water studies, there is a lot of substantially undersized water main in the village, under a lot of the streets, to the tune of a lot of 2-inch, serving 6 to 8 homes, where per the Safe Drinking Water Act guidelines, minimum water main size is 6-inch. Anything under that is considered deficient. So you do have quite a few streets that meet that criteria. In addition to that, it's my understanding you have, alongside that, above those water main, are streets that are actually slated to be paved this year. So it's kind of a win-win. How this grant works, there's $8 million available, so it's not a lot. It is a grant that is on a point system, much like the DNR Trust Fund grant that we pursued. So obviously, the more points you can achieve, the more it puts you in a better position to receive the grant. 10% match is the minimum, which if you can provide, say, an 11% match, that gives you 10 extra points. There's a couple other criteria to get the points. One is if you're a select community in the Main Street program, which I don't believe that's.
Are we still?
We're not, but we're part of the Rising Tide, which I
Right,
think
which.
will have greater weight
Right.
than any other program.
So the Main Street program is one, but the other one is the Redevelopment Ready program, which is a mechanism through the Rising Tide. So that gives you 10 points, where a lot of communities don't have that. Another one is if you can obtain a letter from the DEQ that states that there's a public need and there's an administrative corrective notice to address some of these deficiencies like undersized water main. I've already just recently talked to your district engineer who permits your water systems, and he's very willing to do that, whatever, to help a community such as yours to get the need. That's 30 points. Now, and then the match, so I'm at what, 80 points, 70 points, excuse me. And then the remainder 30 points, which is very interesting, is you have to, this has to be essentially a shelf project ready to be built. You have to have engineered plans and specifications that are signed and sealed. And that was actually a new requirement of these MEDC. These MEDC, CDBG, ICE grants, that's a lot of acronyms. They haven't had them out, it's been probably about 5-6 years. We've done them for quite a few other communities and been quite successful. But this one hasn't come out recently, yeah, about 6 years ago was the last go around. But the other part of the criteria, it's gotta be a project between $500,000 to $1 million. So I did, there's definitely interest from Sam and with the streets to look at this. And so we went through the water system and highlighted about 5 different streets that definitely have the undersized main, have existing users, that you would do lead transfers, upsize the main, and then from that point, pave the roads. So asphalt paving, sidewalk that's above the water main is all included within those projects.
For $1 million?
Is Lincoln in one of them?
Oh, we took that one off because of the cost, but it was in it.
Sam and I went through and we've
Just
come
put
up,
that back.
and I can list them, but we came up with about 6 streets.
Yes, I know.
My neighbor flushed.
No, I thought you were eligible for 10 additional points if you could find funding from another source.
Yes, and I didn't know if you wanted to speak to
And
that
I
effect.
have talked to the auditors when they were in today, and they didn't get back with me on an answer if we can use local street funds for matching money because we're doing road paving. So the auditors were gonna get back with us, it all depends on how Act 51 is worded.
I think it's a great program, obviously, I'd go forward with it. I did have a question though, was it, when we did the water and sewer rate study 3-4 years ago there, was it Mike Ingalls? He made a comment that why we did this study and brought it up was if we ever needed help, we weren't gonna get it because we only charge $24 a quarter, or $25 a quarter.
Well, what he's referencing is rural development, because a lot of times you get grants from USDA. Like you guys would meet the criteria for low income and get very good interest rates, but it'd be a loan based. You would not be able to get a grant because your rates are not high enough.
Okay.
They only give grants to communities that have very, very high rates, and you guys do not.
Would our rate have anything with?
No, this
with
has no
Okay,
impact.
so that's great, good.
That has nothing, the only good thing is, and Sam had told me, is the fact that the board has approved that rate increase because of these capital improvements that are included in that, which that's one of the criteria is to have a capital improvement plan that has been board approved, and then also a maintenance program, which I know the DEP does have, that's on file with the DEP also. So there's a lot of little ticks, but yeah, essentially what we're looking at is, in theory, if all these things line up, aside from not being part of the Main Street program and assuming, let's just assume that we can't count the street funds as an alternate match, you'd be at 80 points out of 100. We could get there. The concern was, and I talked to some of you about that, is what constitutes engineered, signed, sealed plans and specifications. And what we looked at, and I got with some staff in the office, is because normal process, as some of you know or may not know, is we come out, we do topo of the entire street, and we collect all that data together, and we're able to design everything to ensure when you rebuild the road back up with your gravel bases or sand sub base, you have that crown, you have your cross sections. And we obviously, this application's due May 27th, which is awesome that, we just got it. I know, we're out there right now.
So you'll be back tomorrow?
Yeah.
So is the 5 streets you have now, are we looking at maxing out, are we going for $1 million, or just?
I talked to Sam, and based on what he's able to match, correct me if I'm wrong, knowing that we want to come up with roughly 11% match, so that we get our 10 points, we're at about, what did I come up with, about $750,000 for a project scope. So basically,
Where
you
does
kind
that
of
put our walk, so?
Well, depending on what, we're getting an audit right now, so them numbers are gonna change. But that roughly puts me at about a half of water budget left in checking.
That's where the
In the fund balance.
it's gonna come out of the water fund
Right.
and not the 101.
But
It's gotta be done, water fund's gotta be used on water stuff, so
But if we
we're well
can take
within
it out
our.
of the local street funds, because these mains that she's got on her list are some of the streets we have figured for paving. So if we can take some funds from that fund, put it with this fund,
That would be
We can
another,
even come up with a little bit better match and actually take less money out of that water
be
fund.
another 10 points if we took